Thank you. Mr. Rothman.
Thank you, Chairman Scott. First, let me say what a delight it is to be here before my former committee and before you, Mr. Chairman, and the Ranking Member Gomertz, and my other distinguished colleagues who are here. Thank you for your kind words, Howard. I'm here this morning to talk about a success story that emanated from this committee, but has now generated an even greater, or rather made many of us aware of the greater need that we need to address. I'm here to ask your support for H.R. 2352, the School Safety Enhancement Act of 2007. Back in 2000, when Chairman Hyde was the chairman of this committee, I got a letter from two middle school girls. Two separate letters, two different girls, two different middle schools in my district. Working class, middle class schools. And it was shortly after Columbine and other incidents. And they wrote me and they said, Congressman Rothman, I don't feel safe in my school. There are gangs that come in, kids bring in knives, some bring in guns. I'm always afraid. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I thought school was supposed to be a place I felt safe in. It's not. You're a congressman. Can't you help me? We had just finished the impeachment hearings and that whole saga. And nonetheless, the Judiciary Committee unanimously, Bob Barr included, from the far right to the far left, unanimously passed this bill, which the original bill, which said we're not going to have a federal mandate, but we will allow a 50-50 matching grant program so that if a school system has identified a need in their school for a metal detector, security cameras, locks on doors, training programs for school personnel on how to deal with intruders or to prevent intruders, is a 50-50 matching grant, not a government mandate. If they want to put up half the money, the federal government will match it. We got it through the committee unanimously and got it passed in the Republican House and Republican Senate and signed by the President. And it started out a $5 million program. And it was a huge success. In a sense, sadly, it was a huge success because of the need. And it was well oversubscribed. Then we got it up to $10 million. That was oversubscribed. After all, there are 95,000 schools, K through 12, in the states and U.S. territories. So far, and the last appropriation we got was up to $15 million. Again, oversubscribed. We've only been able to cover 2,400 of the 95,000 schools, less than 1 in 40. And law enforcement has begged us to try to get more money, and we have every year. We've made some improvements in this, so we're asking for an increase. It was authorized for $30 million. We've only been able to get 15. We'd like to increase the authorization to 50, and maybe we'll get closer to 50 than we got to 30. We've made some improvements in the bill. As the chairman noted, while there was a provision in there that said if it's a poor school that can't afford any match and can meet certain criteria, the federal government will do 100%, will pay for 100% of the costs. But there was so little money, in essence, so many poor schools got pushed to the side in order to get more schools outfitted than otherwise would have been the case. So we now have made it an 80-20 program, 80% federal grant with a 20% match by the locality. Again, it's not a federal mandate. It is purely voluntary. So whatever the mores or the threshold of pain or threat or fear that a school district wants to live with, it's up to them. But if they come to the federal government, especially in these tough times, and say, we're willing to put up 20%, please bring us the money and your expertise to have security cameras, walk-through metal detectors, wand metal detectors, security cameras, new locks on doors that cannot be broken into, etc., we're going to provide it, especially after Virginia Tech, all of the incidents, and again, the chairman was on the money, how many states, the majority of states have had these incidences in schools K through 12 as well, and universities. Another technical improvement that we added was funding for hotlines. It turns out that when kids know there's a hotline that they can call, that we have reduced the incidences of violence and been able to stop before they happen some terrible, terrible tragedies. Simple solution, but it requires some funding, and that's in the bill as well. Finally, we've added a public safety and I believe a homeland security component, which requires that each college and university at that level provide an annual campus safety assessment and show a plan that implements an emergency response plan that will address natural disasters, active shooter situations, as well as terrorist attacks. I don't need to tell you that it has been well demonstrated, unfortunately, that we need to have schools prepared with a plan. Again, they make up their own plan. We just say, you have to have a plan. Finally, just to remind my distinguished friends and colleagues what those two young ladies have said to me. And by the way, you should have seen the looks on their faces after we outfitted their schools. It just doesn't get, the father of five, it doesn't get better when kids come up to you and say, thank you, I feel safe now, I don't have to worry that somebody's going to kill me. Schools should be a place where kids feel safe. This is a voluntary program, not a federal mandate. I hope you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, will support this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clown.